Hi everyone. So today we'll have a short video on some multiple choice questions for CSEC mathematics. Given how important paper 1 will be, I think it's important that we not only learn answers but actually learn how to do the questions. Okay, so you can be prepared for any new values or any new questions that could come up. Okay, so what I will do, you could actually pause the video at any time if you want to try the questions before I actually work them out. You can do that as well, and we'll be going through each question and I will show you the working and how to get the questions as well. Okay, so let's start with number 1. The number 2747 written to 3 significant figures. So to do this, they wanted 3 significant figures. So we count 1, 2, 3, and then we look at the fourth number. If it's more than 5, we add 1 to the third number, make it 0. If it's less than 5, we don't add 1 and still make it 0. Okay, so in this case 7 is more than 5, so our answer will be 2750 because we add 1 to the 4, and that will give us B. Expressed in scientific notation, 0.045 multiplied by 10 to the power of minus 3 is, so in scientific notation, we want a number over here with a decimal point and then other numbers there. Alright, so to make this happen, we need to shift this decimal point 2 spaces so that we could get 4 and decimal point 5. And this was originally 10 to the minus 3. So what we did now, we actually moved the decimal point 2 places to the right. So in this case, it became 10 to the minus 5 because we want to get back the original number that was there. So to make sure that you are right, what you can do is start off with the original number by 10 to the minus 3, and 10 to the minus 3 means that you have to go 3 spaces to the left like that. So you would get a very, very small number like that. And because we shifted the decimal places a further 2 places to the right, there are more to go now to get back to this original number. So that's why it's 10 to the minus 5. Alright, let me erase this here. So that is your answer there, and that will be C. The value of 5 plus 2 cubed divided by 5 squared minus 2 squared in its simplest form. So we can take the numerator, I will call it n, and work that out first. So 5 plus 2 is 7, and 7 cubed is, I'm not actually going to work that out, I'm going to write 7 by 7 by 7, and you will see why soon. And we can take the denominator now. 5 squared is 25, and minus 2 squared is 4. So our numerator is 7 by 7 by 7 as 7 cubed all over 21, and you can see why I did what I did. Alright, so 7 could go into 21 3 times, and now we know that 7 by 7 is 49 over 3, and that is D. Alright, so you don't have to go and take a lot of time to work out all these different answers if you have an idea of what you're doing. Alright, so you can see how quickly I did that there. Of course, if you did go and multiply 7 by 7 by 7 and then divided it by 21, you will eventually get the same answer. It will take a lot of time, but you will get it. Okay, simple interest now. So how much simple interest is due on a loan of $1,200 for 2 years if the annual rate of interest is 5.5%? Okay, so our simple interest formula is principal by rate by time over 100. So our principal is 1,200. Our rate is 5.5, but I'm going to choose to write it as 5.5. I think that makes it a bit easier. And it's 2 years, right? All over 100. So we can cancel out our 2 zeros with the 1,200 here. And instead of going to multiply 12 by 5.5, I don't really like decimal points. I want to get rid of decimal points. So 5.5 by 2, I know that is 11. Okay, because 5 by 2 is 10, and then 0.5 by 2 is 0.5 plus 0.5, which is 1, right? So 5.5 by 2 is 11. So I'm left now with 12 multiplied by 11, and I could work this out, and I will get 132. Without a calculator, 12 by 10 is 120, and then I just have to add a 1 again to the 12. plus 12 now, and you'll get 132. If you want to go and work it out as in long multiplication, you can do that. You have enough time in the exam to make sure your answers are correct. Okay, so my answer there is 132. Item 5 refers to the following chart. This is another simple interest basically. How much more interest did a fixed deposit of 10,000 in 2015 than in 2014? So a fixed deposit by definition is per year, so 1 year will always be the time. Okay, so we have our same simple interest formula. So principal by rate by time over 100. So our principal will be 10,000, our rate 7.8, and our time will be 1. Okay, all over 100. Cancel out your 2 zeros there. So we get 100 by 7.8, and when you're multiplying by any multiples of 10, right, you just have to shift your decimal point. So 7.8 multiplied by 100 means I'm shifting my point 2 spaces to the right. So I'm going to get 1, 2, and I will have gotten $780 interest in 2014. Now for 2015, I simply have to do the same thing, but instead of 7.8, I put 7.5, and you can go and work that out if you want to, but your interest will be $750. And they want to know how much more interest, so I find the difference between them, and 780 minus 750 is 30. Tom bought a pen for $60. He sold it to gain 20% on his cost. How much money did he gain? Very simple. So we just need to find 20%, which is 20 over 100, of the original cost, which is multiplied by 60 was the original cost. So 0, 0, 0, 0, and 2 by 6 is $12. Very simple answer. The Water Authority charges $10 per month for the meter rent, $25 for the first 100 liters you use, and $1 for each additional 10 liters. So what is the total bill for 250 liters used in 1 month? So very simple. So the first 100 liters is going to cost you 100 by the first 100 liters is going to cost you $25, right? So what we really need to find out is what the remaining 150 liters is going to cost, because they said that you're going to have to pay $1 for each additional 10 liters. So it's not $1 per additional liter, that'll be $150, but it's per 10 liters. So what we do, we divide this by 10 to get 15. So each additional 10, you have 15 additional 10 liters to make 150, right? And you'll be paying $1 per additional 10 liters, so you'll be paying an extra $15 there. So the total cost now is going to be $25 for the first 100 liters, plus $15 for the next 150 liters, and plus you have your $10 there, right? So 25 plus 15 plus 10, that is going to give you $40. Is it? No, sorry, $50. That's $50 there. Okay, which of the following sets as an infinite number of numbers? This is quite simple. So factors of 20 simply mean how many things could go into 20, and that's not infinite, right? So it's going to be 2, 4, 5, and 10, right? And then 20. That's all you could have. Multiples of 20 means how much numbers you could make going up from 20. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, and you could go all the way, right? So you could go up to infinity. So your answer is B. Very simple there. All right, and the prime numbers less than 20 obviously is between 1 and 20, and odd numbers between 10 and 20, obviously those two are finite, right? Item 9 refers to the Venn diagram below. So we can see here that we have P, which is a big circle here, and Q is within P. So by definition, Q is a subset of P. However, they don't have that answer there, so they want you to interpret it as something else. All right, so P prime is everything that is not in P, but clearly Q is in P, so that's not the answer. Q prime is everything that is not in Q, but the shaded circle is Q, so that's not the answer as well. P union Q means that you are you are including everything in P and everything in Q, which is not the case because here would have been shaded if that was the case. So your remaining answer is P intersect Q. So that's your answer, because intersect simply means everything that is in Q and also could be in P without the two overlapping. So your Venn diagram is usually be this, right? And that is be your intersect. But since Q is a subset of P, Q is also intersecting P, okay? Because everything that is within Q is also within P. Alright, so that's a bit of a trick question, but once you could rule out the A, B, C, you will know that, well, the answer could only be D, okay? So this is another trick question here. Well, not trick question, but it's tricky. Alright, so P and Q are two finite sets, such as the number of elements in P is 7, the number of elements in Q is 5, and the number of P intersect Q is 3. So they want to know what is the number of elements in P union Q, which is P and Q mashed together. So it's not as simple as saying 7 plus 5 is 12. That's not how it is. So to understand, let's draw our Venn diagram. So we know that P intersect Q is 3. So there are 3 elements there, right? But remember, this 3 also belongs, this is P and this is Q, right? So the 3 elements here also belong to P and Q. But they said that the number of elements in P is already 7. So we can't actually go and put a 7 here and then put a 5 here, because this 3 also has to include the 7, right? So this answer is not 7 here. It actually has to be 4. So 4 and 3 will give you your 7 for P and not 5. But we'll have to put 2 here. So the 2 and the 3 will give you your 5 for Q. So all you have to do now to find the union is add these 3 numbers together. So you'll get 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9. Okay, so you need to pay attention to this question because this one can trick you. How many liters of water would a container whose volume is 36 centimeters cubed hold? So centimeters cubed is equal to milliliters. So this is essentially 36 milliliters. And to convert milliliters to liters, we simply take the decimal point and you move it 1, 2, 3 places to your left. You are essentially dividing by 1000. So you put your 0 here and then you put your next 0 there. So it's actually 0.036 milliliters. Right, remember to convert you divide by 1000. Okay, so this is a very silly question. A man leaves home at 22:15 hours, which is 15 minutes past 10 in the night, and reaches his destination at 0400 hours, which is 4 o'clock in the morning, on the following day in the same time zone, right? How long did the journey take? So what you could do, you could take away the time, you could add it up in your head or all kind of thing, right? But if you do something smart and try to round it off, so I'm just saying 10:15 p.m., right? To go from 10:15 to 11 o'clock, you have to add 45 minutes, right? That will get you to 11 o'clock, which is 3/4 of an hour, right? And to reach to 4 o'clock in the morning from 11 o'clock in the night, if you keep counts on your hand, is 5 hours, right? So the answer is 5 3/4 hours, but I did not even need to go and do the extra 5 hours, because if you watch your answers, the only one that has 3/4 in it is B. So your answer could have only been B once you realize that you need to add a 45 minutes to the 10:15 to go up to the hour, right? So once you could work out things like that, you could finish this exam very, very quickly. Some of the answers don't make sense, right? So your answer is obviously B there. Right. This trapezium is not drawn to scale. So ABCD, so ABCD is the trapezium, and ADE is a triangle. Okay. So angles B, C, and E are right angles. So where are those? Right. So B, C, E, they are right angles. I'm just putting in the information that they gave me, right? The area of the trapezium ABCD is. So to find the area of a trapezium, the easiest thing to do is to make this a triangle. Alright, so now we have a triangle. I'm going to label this as X, and we have a rectangle, Y. So now we know how to find the area of a triangle, and we know how to find the area of a rectangle. So let's do the area of X, right? So X would be base by height over 2. Now how do we find our base and how do we find our height? Well, they tell us that this whole length here is 5 centimeters. And now they're telling us that the length between D and C is 3 centimeters. So to find this small part here, we simply take away 3 from 5 and we will find that remaining part. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So base is 2 centimeters. How do we find our height? Well, it's right here, 2 centimeters. This line is the same length as this line. So our base is 2 centimeters, our height is 2 centimeters, and our area is going to be 2 cm squared for the triangle. And we know how to find the area of a rectangle. It's quite easy. So we use this 3 cm here and we use the 2 cm there, right? We can't use the 5 cm, that's the whole length of the of that side, right? So we want to find Y, which is this rectangle here. So it's going to be 3 by 2, which is 6 cm squared, and we have to add them together now to find the total area of the trapezium. So 6 plus 2 is 8 centimeters squared. Very simple. A circular hole with a diameter of 6 cm is cut from a circular piece of card with a diameter 12 cm. So to make it simple, let me draw it out for you, right? So first you had this big card, right? A bigger circle, and the diameter was 12 cm. What you did, for whatever reason, you decide to cut a smaller circle from this card. So you essentially cut a smaller circle, and the diameter of that circle was 6 cm. Okay, that's just to help you understand. So they want to know, after you cut out the circle, what is the area remaining in the card. So all you have to do is find the original area of the card, the area of the circle that you cut off, and minus them. Alright, so the area of the card, I mean, let's put let's label it as card, right? And remember, your formula is pi r squared. Sorry. So they give us diameter, so we need to convert diameter to radius, and our radius is half of your diameter. Okay, so don't make that mistake of using the diameter. Alright, so it's going to be pi, and since the diameter was 6, your radius is diameter is 12, your radius will be 12 divided by 2, which is 6, okay? So it's going to be 6 squared, and we could say that this is 36 pi. Alright, there's no need to work out pi and all of that. And finally, the area of the circle that you cut out, this the diameter was 6 cm, so it's pi r squared again, and your radius is going to be 3 cm. So it's going to be pi 3 squared, which is 9 pi. So the remaining area after you cut out this circle, which is 9 pi, is going to be 36 pi minus 9 pi, which is 27 pi. Simple. Don't let the pi and all that confuse you. You're still working with numbers, okay? Alright, so the mean of 10 numbers is 58. If one of the numbers is 40, what is the mean of the other 9? And to tell you the truth, if you use common sense, you don't need to do any working. Alright, and I'm going to show you the common sense method first. So if you think about a cricketer, alright, you know cricket and averages go together, right? So if somebody played 10 innings and they average 58, they're doing really good, right? On average, they're scoring 58 runs every time they come out to bat. But if one of those numbers was 40, right, which is less than the average, if you just take that out of the equation and you leave them with 9 innings instead, right, and you say that one innings was 40, the average is obviously going to go up because you took out a number that was less than the average. So the remaining 9 innings now will be a higher average than this one because it took out a number that was less than the average. And it's not going to skyrocket to 162 and 540. That's ridiculous. It's going to just go up a little bit, and your answer will be 60. However, if you want to do the mathematical way, then it's very easy as well. So you could think about the cricketer again. If his average is 58 over 10 innings, that means at the end of the 10 innings, he would have scored 58 runs per inning, which is a total amount of runs 580. Right? So you multiply 58 by 10. Right? 580 runs he come out of the tournament with. Okay? Now, if you tell them that you're taking out 40 runs from the total, so minus 40, so you get 540, and what you want to find the average of the remaining 9 innings now. So you could find the average, and you could divide it by 9. So 54 divided by 9, so 9 into 54 will be 6, and you have a 0 there, so your answer will be 60. Alright, so that's a nice way of thinking about it. Okay, so 16 to 17 refers to the table below, which shows the distribution of ages of 25 children in a choir. What is the probability that a child chosen at random is at least 13 years old? So at least 13 means they have to be 13 and up, so these 4 squares here. So we simply need to find how many children are 13 and up and divide it by the total amount of children. So it's 5 plus 4, that's 9, plus 4 again is 13, and 3 plus that is 16. So there are 16 children 13 and up, and the total amount of children is 25. So it's simply 16 over 25. There's no real maths there. And finally, they want to know the mode of the distribution. So the mode is the one that occurs most frequently. So which is the most frequent age? It is obviously 11, because there are 6 children who are 11 years old. All the rest are less than that. So your answer is 11. Now we can move on to some algebra, the exciting stuff. 7 times the product of 2 numbers, a and b, may be written as. So in algebra, when you're talking about multiplication, there's no real need to put a multiplication sign. So 7 times is 7 times, and the product is also multiplication. So the product of 2 numbers is a multiplied by b. In algebra, we don't use multiplication signs, we just leave it. We could leave all the multiplication signs, so you get 7ab. 7ab means 7 by a by b. Alright? Number 19. So this is a standard algebra question. So the brackets, we will call the brackets first. So 2 into x minus 1 is 2x minus 2. And then you have the minus 3x is equal to 6. So we like to group our x's together. So it's going to be 2x minus 3x minus 2 is equal to 6. And we like to put everything that we know on one side and everything that we don't know on the other side. So we can actually work out the 2x minus 3x. That will simply be minus x. It's really minus 1x, but in algebra we don't really write the ones in front of the number, right? And to move the minus 2 to the other side, we have to change it to plus 2. Anytime we're moving something across the equal sign, we change the sign. Notice I did not move the 3x, the minus 3x across the equal sign. I simply just rearranged it, so I did not change the sign. So I get minus x is equal to 8. And they want to find x, not minus x, mind you. So therefore I have to switch my signs. X will be minus 8. Don't get mixed up with that, okay? Right, so we have a slightly tougher algebra, but it's simply LCM, just like fractions in primary school. Alright, so it's going to be 3x plus 1 over 2 minus x plus 1 over 4, and we find the LCM of the denominators, 2 and 4. The LCM is 4. So I put my big division sign here, and I work it out just like I could work out a fractions. So 2 into 4 is 2. So I put my big 2 here, and I write back 3x plus 1 minus, and 4 into 4 is 1, right? And I could just write back the x plus 1. And I work it out. So 2 into 3x is 6x, 2 by 1 is 2, minus x plus 1 all over 4, and I can simplify it now. So I group my x's together, so it's going to be 6x minus x, and I group my knowns together, so plus 2 minus 1. So remember, we actually have a minus sign in front of the whole x plus 1, right? So this is minus x and then minus 1 as well. So this is going to be 5x minus 1. Sorry, plus 1. That was a mistake on my part. All over 4, and that's going to be C. 21. The equation of the line which passes through the point 0, 2 and has a gradient of 1 over 3 is. So the equation of a line is y is equal to mx plus c. They already gave us the gradient, which is m. So it's going to be 1 over 3x plus c. And to find c, all we need is a point. So we can substitute the x values and the y values into the equation. So the y value is 2. The x value is 0, so that's 1/3 by 0, which is nothing, plus c. So 2 is equal to c, so c is 2. So we can put back c is equal to 2 into the original equation. So y is equal to 1 over 3x plus 2, and that is D. Number 22. If g is a function such as g of x is 2x plus 1, which of the following coordinates satisfies the function? So all we have to do here is take the x values of these answers, put them into where the x is, and see if g of x gives us the corresponding y values. And thankfully, in this question, A is the correct answer, because if we put the minus 3 into this equation, we're going to get 2 multiplied by minus 3 plus 1. That is equal to minus 6 plus 1, which is minus 5. So our answer is A. So you can see we got back the minus 5 there. What is the gradient of a line which passes through the points minus 4, 3 and minus 2, 5? So our formula for gradient of a line, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it doesn't matter which ones are our second and first line. We can treat this one as the first and this one as the second. So y2 is going to be 5, y1 will be 3, x2 will be minus 2, and we are minusing minus 4, right? So remember that that's going to have to change to a plus sign. So 5 minus 3 is 2, and minus 2 minus minus 4 is minus 2 plus 4, which is also 2. So that could cancel out and you'll get 1. So 24, if f of x is 2x minus 3 and g of x is 3x plus 1, then fg of x of minus 2, fg of minus 2, is. So all we have to do is wherever we see x in the function f, we put in the entire function g of x in. So this is going to be 2, and wherever we have x, we put the entire thing. 3x plus 1 minus 3. So from here we can do two different things. Every time we see x, we put in the minus 2 now, or we could simplify this and then put in the minus 2 after. So I'm going to simplify it for you first. So 2 multiplied by 3x is 6x, 2 multiplied by 1 is 2, and then we have the minus 3 here, so this is going to be 6x minus 1. And now we can put in wherever we see x minus 2. It's going to be 6 into minus 2 minus 1, which is minus 12 minus 1, and that is minus 13. Alright? Okay. 25 refers to the diagram below, not drawn to scale. A plane travels from point A on a bearing of 150 degrees to point B, which is 10 kilometers from A. They want to know how far east of A is B. So they actually want to know this straight line distance here. Alright, wherever B is, they want to know this distance here. Alright? There. However, we could actually extend this line and make it Like that is the same distance, right? It does not actually matter in this case. Okay, so clearly we're going to have to use sine, cos, and tan to find out the answer. They don't actually want to know the actual answer, they just want to know the working for it. Okay, so I prefer to use, it doesn't really matter, I just want to use this triangle here. Okay, so I clearly need angles, right? So this is a right angle here. Okay, so this is a straight line, right? This highlighted line is a straight line, and a straight line has 180 degrees. So to find out the remaining angle here, they already give me the 150. So to make up the 180, it will be 150 plus 30. So this angle here is 30 degrees. I already know that this angle here is 90 degrees. And the total sum of angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. So if I have 90 degrees here and 30 degrees here, that's 120. So the remaining angle over here is going to be 60 degrees. So I have all the angles of the triangle, and I have the 10 km here in the hypotenuse. So I can use either of the angles, but I need to coordinate my answer with their answer. Okay, so if I try to use the 30 degrees, right, remember I want to find this distance here. All right, so this distance x is the opposite length of the 30 degree angle, so I would have had to use sine. Right, remember sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Remember, I have to use the hypotenuse all the time because that's the length that they gave me. So the answer would have been the sine 30. Right, I have to use the angle and sine, but if I take a quick glance at my answers, I'm seeing sine here, but I'm seeing sine 60, so that's not correct. So it's either I am making a mistake or I have to use the other angle. Alright, so let's try it with the 60. Okay, so the 60 now, the x becomes the adjacent distance to the 60. You can see the 60 is resting on x, so the x is adjacent now. So I'm going to have to use cosine. So it's going to be cos, which is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Let me just check my answers to see if I have a cos 60. Yes, I do. So my answer will be C. I don't really need to go any further into that, right? Okay, so this is a very tricky question if you don't know your rules with how vectors and also how enlargement works with scale factors. So triangle ABC, which is the big triangle ABC, is an enlargement of triangle ADE such that the scale factor is essentially 2. Well, not actually, sorry, that's my mistake. The length of AD, right? So DB, let me change the colors because it gets very tricky. So DB here in blue is 2 times the length of AD. Right, so that does not mean it's a scale factor of 2. This actually means, if you think about it like vectors, right, that AB is actually 3 times the length of AD because you have 2 parts here in the blue and 1 part here in the green. So the total length of AB is 3 times the length of AD, and it's the same for AE. Right, so if I highlight AE here, they are telling me that EC is 2 times the length, and you could see that here, right? Now that I highlighted for you, it's 2 times the length of the green line. So the AC now is actually 3 times the length of AE. So your scale factor is actually 3. Okay, and when you're doing area, it's not as easy as just saying, oh, the scale factor is 3, so if I just divide by 3, that is the area of the small triangle. No, it does not work like that. Right, but first of all, the real question that they are asking is, if the area of the big triangle is 36 centimeters squared, they want to know the area of the remaining part of the big triangle after you take out ADE, which is a small triangle, right? So they want to find the area of D, E, C, and B. So they want to find this area here. So to find that area, we find the area of the big triangle and we find the area of the small triangle and minus it to get the remaining area. Alright, so they give us the area of the big triangle, which is 36 cm squared. And to find the area of the small triangle, we need to take the we need to divide by the square of the scale factor. Okay, it's not just dividing by the scale factor, you have to divide by the square of the scale factor. Let me, just so that you will not have any trouble with the rest of enlargement questions. If you have a rectangle 2 and 3, right, so the width is 2 and the length is 3, your area is obviously 6, right? Now if you enlarged this this rectangle now by a scale factor of 3, all right, so now we have 6 is the width and 9 is the length. 6 by 9, right, that's clearly 54, right? So clearly 6 by 3 is not 54, and 54 divided by 3 is not 6, right? So what really happened here is that you have to square your scale factor. So my scale factor was, remember, 3, right? So if I take my original area and I multiply it by 3 squared, which is 9, 6 by 9 is 54, okay? And similarly, if I divide my my big area by the square of the scale factor, I will get back the 6. 54 divided by 9 is 6, okay? So in this case, I take my 36 and I divide it by the same 9, because the scale factor is 3, so 3 squared is 9. And I will get 4, okay? So 4 centimeters squared is the area of the small triangle. And to find the remaining area, I simply take away the 4 from the 36 and I get 32, okay? On to some matrices now. The point P, which is 2 minus 3, is rotated about the origin through an angle of 90 degrees in an anti-clockwise direction. So they want to know what are the coordinates of the image P. So this is where learning your transformation matrices comes in very handy. All right, so for rotation of 90 degrees counterclockwise, right here, so instead of anti-clockwise, we have to use this matrix here, 0, minus 1, 1, 0, and then multiply it by the coordinate 2 minus 3. All right, so this is going to be 0 by 2 is 0, and minus 1 by minus 3 is 3, and then 1 by 2 is 2, and 0 by minus 3 is 0. So my answer is going to be 3, 2. So my x value is 3, my y value is 2, and that is E. Alright, item 28 refers to triangle PQR below, and it's a right angle triangle. If PR is 12 and PQ is 5, then the length of QR is. So this is a simple Pythagoras theorem, which says that A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared. So I can let QR be my A squared, and my B squared could be anyone. So it could be 5 squared, and my C squared could be 12 squared. It does not matter the order of the numbers, right? So 5 squared is 25, 12 squared is 144. When you add those together, you will get 169, and this is equal to E squared. But we want to find the actual length. So we take the root of 169, and from your memory that is 13. Okay? And if you don't know, you could work it out, right? You could try your answers here. You could try 11 by 11, that's 121. You could try 17 by 17, that will be obviously more. Okay? So your answer will be 13. Alright. Given that P and Q are points where the coordinates 1, 3 is P and minus 1, 4 is Q, then the position vector P to Q. So essentially they are asking you, how did you go from P 1, 3 to Q 1, 4? So simple. How did you go from 1 to minus 1, and how did you go from 3 to 4? So to go from 1 to minus 1, you have to move backward 2. Okay, so the x value will be 1 minus 2 will give you minus 1. And to go from 3 to 4, well, that's simply adding 1. So your final position, your position vector will be minus 2, 1. Very simple, you just need to think about it, right? Sorry, that's the wrong choice there. It's C. And finally, the transformation matrix 2002 represents, and this is a very simple one because all the other transformation matrices, whether it's rotation or translation, they never have anything other than 1, minus 1, and 0. The only transformation matrices that have any other number are enlargements. So by definition, it is D. Okay? So I hope you guys learned a lot from this short video and this short paper. Let me know if you guys want to see more of this video. Thanks everyone for watching.